Steel Trading here, coming to you with another live stream. First things first, shout out to the stream sponsors, guys, of CoinCatch and Stryker.ai. CoinCatch is the perpetual exchange of choice. I think that they have a great platform with great user integration, great user experience. Very easy. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. No KYC, no VPN. And then also shout out to Stryker.ai. They are the new AI platform I'm working with. I'm pretty much working hand in hand with this team to kind of build it from the ground up, get you updates on CPI prints, FMOC, all that sort of stuff that's going on within the macroeconomics of these markets. There's a lot to kind of follow. I used to never really look at equities as much. I do some trading on stocks, but it has been so intertwined with crypto lately, and that could obviously be because there's a lot of big institutions getting involved with it. Banks are getting involved with Bitcoin now, and so maybe it is just moving more or less the way that equities is moving. A lot of hands are getting into the pot, all that sort of stuff. But shout out to CoinCatch and Stryker.ai. They are making it a little bit easier to get all of that data and all that information in one place. We did drop down and finally close that 115,694. We can go over here and we can kind of label that as a point of control now. 115,694. That's kind of giving us that directional bias to the downside because it has been the most local print. I thought we could run a little bit higher. Again, the short still technically is higher for me. If we look at it, it is still back in that 119, 118 area on Bitcoin. We haven't gotten it yet. There's been a fuckload of chop. These conditions have been rough, especially getting into all-time highs. I think that it's great that Bitcoin is still trading above 110K. The rest of the markets aren't really showing that strength. The next area of longing is still the same area, guys. That 114, 144, that is the next area that I would be interested in longing BTC next. Now, just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean that it won't happen. I would have liked for this NPOC print to be closed out on these prior days, especially at these lows when we did tap into that 114. So it just hasn't given us that leg into that area yet that I want, and I still want that area. That's where I'll be considering to put on some BTC bids again. The NPOC levels haven't changed much. It just really depends. Like between these NPOC prints here, I'm basically going to decide how to trade based off which one hits first. That's kind of why I haven't been focused too much on Bitcoin. I want to see some NPOC prints get closed out first. Obviously, if we go down and close this one first, it's a more bullish setup because then we can kind of get that move to the upside and close these ones out after. Now, there is a print every single day at the daily close on NPOC levels. So maybe when that does happen, another print will be left behind down in this area, and then we're looking to kind of retest that area as well. But again, if we run up from here, then is a little bit more of a bearish setup for me because that is an area for potentially a short hedge. That is an area to be taking profits in, and then we might get that move back down to that 114, 144 area. So obviously, if we drop first and we close that area, that is the more bullish move for me. That is where I'll be looking to add long on Bitcoin. But again, if that does happen, then that means more downside for everything else, right? That means more downside for ETH on chain. That means more downside for Ethereum. That means more downside for altcoins. So again, kind of have patience within all this, and also just understand that we do have lower targets for the majors on BTC and Ethereum. And if that does happen, then yes, that means that lower on altcoins is probably going to happen as well. I think that ETH stays bullish above this line. It's like that 4264. Again, very similar to what I'm looking for on BTC with this line here on this daily level, that 112,421. Same thing with ETH, that 4267 is the kind of area that's like, if we don't hold that area, then I think we can see a little bit more downside. But I mean, again, it's just a red day, right? Everybody after the FMOC was thinking, oh, everything's going to be bullish, everything's going to continue to go up. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, especially as of recently with majors and everything. It's taking time for this shit to play out. Patience is going to be your best friend during this cycle, in my opinion. I just think, everyone's talking about Q4 and how Q4 is going to be this crazy upside. Well, maybe shit doesn't happen in Q4 and then it starts to really take off in 2026, right? So then that means 3 months of fucking boring price action, of not getting the profits that you want. It really does seem like institutions are involved. They're taking control. They are not going to make it easy on us. They are going to chop us the fuck up as crypto traders and make sure that we have no money by the time they really want to start to decide to take shit off. Going forward on ETH, there's not much else that we can kind of talk about. We can kind of get rid of this NPOC print. No reaction at 4516, which again can kind of indicate to us that there is not very much strength or very much demand in this area. We did have an NPOC print that we reacted really well off of down here. And I think it was at that like 4434, something like that. And then we got that move to the upside. But again, no follow through to the upside on Ethereum. So for me, guys, I think the long and the short stay the exact same. Next potential area to short is going to be that 4726. Next area to long is going to be down at that 4334. And then we also have that long down as well at that 4191. So again, not going to overcomplicate it as far as NPOC prints. You guys know that having patience for them in confluence with lower limit levels is the way that I like to trade. It is the way that I like to look at these markets and perceive where that support and resistance level is. So again, ETH is a no trade for me right now. Sadly, it is. I just think that we either need more downside to open up. If you kind of look at it, even if we do come back down and retest this 4334, we're still making higher lows. So it's still technically a bullish setup to where higher lows, we come back down, we have higher lows, and then we could potentially bounce to retest that 4726. So I do want to look at Doge here, and I do want to talk about Doge just because this is why I'm very bullish on Doge going forward. I think that Doge has that potential, in my opinion, to go to $1 this cycle. Again, though, the time frame is what's going to fuck everybody up. Just because I'm saying that now doesn't mean it's going to happen anytime soon. I just think that this whole setup on Doge just reminds me so much of before we pumped, right? We had this whole setup where it was like we had that impulse, and then started, and then boom, we had another impulse higher, and then again another impulse higher, all the way up to that close to 60, 70, 80% range. And I don't think that Doge doesn't set up like this very often, right? And so you can kind of just like take it down to a quick fractal. We had that initial push, which is here, that initial push, slow dribble, and then we had another impulse. Here's that second impulse right here. And then we have the final curve impulse here, which I'm looking for that final curve impulse to happen on Doge. The setup doesn't happen often on Doge, right? So that is why I am very bullish on Dogecoin within this cycle. Again, I don't know when it happens. I would love for it to happen sooner rather than later. But just because I want it to doesn't actually mean it's going to. But I still really, really like Doge in this area. That is why, I am kind of focusing on Doge as far as like a trading standpoint, right? I think that we do have this channel trend to kind of be watching on Doge. It can probably come and retest this area about that 24, 25 cent range. But hey, if we're getting an average within this area and it does decide to kind of impulse at some point, maybe into Q4, into 2026, yeah, you'll be sitting on a decent ROI on that trade. So CRV just didn't have any sort of reaction once we deviated. And that was like kind of for me to where I was like, fuck this. Like I was kind of done. There was nothing. I wanted to see a deviation outside of this and a quick reclaim, but it just dragged, right? And there was no quick reclaim on this. Took a few losses on this, but this is a very, very key support level that you want to see a good reaction out of. And we just didn't see it. So that weakness was there. Like I said, I took a loss on CRV and then I was just kind of done with it. There wasn't that momentum that I wanted to see on CRV, especially at a very, very key support level. And even right now, right? We're still deviating. Once we rejected here, still in that deviation, there was no reclaim of this. There was no reclaim of this range. If we look at BTC, we could see that that reclaim happened and was pretty smooth, right? Uptrending from there. So that's why like BTC was like, oh, okay, well, if BTC can look like that and CRV isn't looking like that, that's kind of a sign of weakness for me to not really be interested in trading it anymore. I still like CRV. I think that it does have a lot of room for upside when markets get going. But again, that's the big factor when markets get going. It's not going yet. It's still choppy. There's still that downside. Anytime we see upside, people are still round tripping. These markets are tough. It's not an easy environment right now, guys. So just looking at this chart, like it's hard not to be bullish on SOL. It can easily leg to 500, but what's the time frame that it can get there? That's the problem. Because people are fucking entering SOL here at 244 and they think that 500 is going to come in the next couple of days. And that's just not the case, right? You want to make sure to still have a grounded strategy to it. A lot of people were trying to play this head and shoulders and got smoked, right? So again, that's strength. That's showing that this asset is still in a strength trending market. I really think SOL is at a decent area to potentially be longing here. Just depends on how you want to depict that candle, because that one at the top is pretty ugly. You can kind of surface something like this too, where lower limit is established by a resistance level twice, maybe even a third time here, fourth time, and then now we're getting into that median ML. So I would probably be interested in SOL like low 230s-ish, high 220s-ish, because then that would put us in the discounted price range. But again, SOL's been one of those ones that I've been wanting that discounted price, and we haven't gotten the discounted price on SOL. It's just been up. This had a good trend. The trend was higher. It wasn't deviating down into that discounted buy, at least on this range back here. And so again, I did miss the boat on SOL. But Sol is also one of those ones you probably could have longed like hype and BNB and capitalized on it. So yeah, you know, I'm going to keep this chart up. I think that I do like Sol if we can get into this discounted price range, but you know, I'm not sure if we're going to get it. Market momentum just isn't there for it yet. I will say that the overall structure looks decent as far as, you know, where we are. We had a deviation outside lower limit that was created from back here in April, right? Those were the lows. You could consider that like this maybe a potential low as well. So building a position anywhere at this lower limit is not bad between that like 75 and 83. But again, this is a 4-hour chart. It's just going to take time for these. Again, you know, I know people don't want to hear that, but I think patience is going to be like one of the biggest factors and like the biggest thing that's of importance of this cycle. People do not want to have patience within their trades. They want to be rich right away, and those days are over, guys. So they're only going to be, you know, rewarding the people that have patience. I know that's kind of tough to say, but I don't know. Fartcoin's still in a discounted buy area based off this range that has been created since April. So it's not bad. I like Fartcoin. I gave up on Fartcoin. You know, I just think that Fartcoin hasn't been giving us the momentum that we've wanted to get from lower limit. I would have loved to see a better reaction out of this, and it's just not there yet. I don't know. Maybe I need to start focusing on Fartcoin a little bit more. I still think that Fartcoin's a great play as far as memes. If memes get hot, Fartcoin will get hot. I mean, this is just such a strong chart. It's such a strong chart. You know, it's so hard to ignore it. I think Nebraska and Gooner posted the cup and handle and then, you know, higher. But again, this is a daily chart. So much could happen right here, right? To where it chops you up completely before we get that move into maybe 2026. You know what I'm saying? This could go sideways for the rest of the year, and then in 2026 it can kind of give us that move to the upside. But it's still very bullish, right? This is like a, you know, the same thing that we've talked about before. We're building a base around resistance, turning it into a support so that we can get that leg higher. But again, when's that leg higher going to come? I don't think it comes tomorrow. I don't think it comes next week. I think patience into Q4, into 2026. See you over in the Telegram. Be careful trading this weekend. Looking pretty weak. We'll see how things go. Really appreciate you guys joining. I'll see you guys over in the Telegram. Peace out.